Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is J.R. Moore coming to you live from deep in the mountains of the Missouri Ozarks on Monday, the 27th day of November, year of our Lord 2017. Welcome to the John Moore Show. Before we get to our prepper tip of the day, we have a new image of North America with new coastlines. This comes from a documentary about the bogus religion called Scientology. And the image has L. Ron Hubbard standing next to a globe, and that's the image. The globe clearly has no Florida and no Baja California, and it's now posted on my website at thelibertyman.com. Prepper tip of the day. It's going to be a bit longer than most, but it's very important. What I'm about to read to you is posted at my website as an alert. At the top right-hand side, you'll see a black and red banner, and here it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been discussing the clear and present danger of an electromagnetic pulse attack on the USA for a number of years. I've read authoritative books by experts like Dr. Peter Pry, the former head of the now-defunct U.S. Commission on EMP, and I've interviewed Dr. Pry on my radio show. Until recently, I felt that the failure of the federal government to protect the national power grid was just another example of an inadvertent result of our very dysfunctional swamp in Washington, D.C. However, upon further reflection, I have concluded that the failure to protect the national power grid is by design and with intent. I have recently learned that officials in the Obama administration were actively blocking any possibility of the recommendations of the EMP Commission being successful. The report, the EMP Commission, is a free download at my website, by the way. As most of you know, I've been a homicide detective most of my adult life and intelligence analyst before that. By both education and profession, I'm trained to find evidence, analyze it, and make conclusions based on that evidence. Based on the evidence I found, I can come to no other conclusion other than the complete failure to protect the national power grid is by design and with intent. The goal being to prepare the USA for a successful invasion by our enemies, that being the Russians, the Chinese, and their allies. With all the above in mind, there are a couple of unknowns, at least unknown to me. Number one, does President Trump plan to move forward to protect the national power grid? Number one. Number two, if so, will he be able to do so in time? Absent having answers to the above questions, I advocate the following. Number one, prepare for both a grid down scenario and invasion. Number two, pray for God's healing and protection. Now, I know all too well the enormity of what I advocate. I also know that failure to do so could result in serious injury or death. My recommendation for becoming part of a hobby farm that's self-sufficient, 100 or more miles from a major city, 800 plus feet above sea level holds true. I conclude by saying, may God bless and save America. So that's my prepper tip of the day. It's at my website. I just noticed a typo, misspelling in a word early in this, but we'll get that corrected before the end of the day. And Dave Hodges talked about my alert on his radio show last night. I stand behind what I say. I'm very sincere in what I say. I believe it was Franklin Roosevelt who said something to the effect that no major things happen in this world in politics without being planned in advance. And I believe that saying holds very true here when it comes to my analysis of EMP and what it means to all of us. With that in mind, we have our Monday guest on hold here, waiting patiently in the green room, Mr. Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters, the website being deserteagleshooters.com. And we're going to start our discussion with our firearms tip of the week. Good morning, Jimmy.
Good morning, John. And I appreciated your note on that earlier. I forwarded that message to several people. Firearms tip of the week. Ammunition. Right now, with the holidays coming on and everything, we're getting notices on several different manufacturers' sales and everything on ammunition. we're passing the prices that we're getting onto our customers and everything. One good example is reman, and when I say reman, ladies and gentlemen, I mean remanufactured. These are small companies that have purchased the proper equipment and gone through the proper licensing and everything and inspections so that they are turning out quality ammunition. The ones that don't turn out quality ammunition, you'll notice they disappear quite quickly. But the ones that we deal with know their stuff. But a good example is 5.56 223 ammo, and they're loaded with 55 grain Hornady VMAX bullets, not full metal jacket. And a case of 500 is like $259, I think. That's incredible for top quality ammunition.
It is. But, that's great. Yeah.
Anybody interested in that? Now, some of these sales are only going to be for like the week or anything. For those that are on the first of the month pay cycle and everything, we still have time. But what I'm saying is, look at your ammunition stores, and when you look at it, don't forget training. I had a good friend of mine several months ago that was, oh, yeah, he's fine on ammo, blah, blah, blah. And they went through the summer training cycle without replenishing, and was, in fact, he was over here Saturday looking at ammo and making an order. He says, it's amazing. He went from 2,000 rounds of 223 and 1,000 rounds of 45, and through the training cycle and everything and matches and all through the summer, he's down to less than 300 rounds of 223 and down to less than 100 rounds of 45, John. And,
well, that's putting a lot of lead down range. Well, while we're on that topic, I want to discuss a little bit about what the long-range precision shooters do. Now, basically, when it comes to ammunition, there's two groups. One which uses high-quality factory ammunition. The other which uses high-quality ammunition that's reloads. Or if it's never been loaded before, would it be a reload? I guess it wouldn't be, would it? But regardless.
No, that's called home manufacturing. You've got up a point that I've never covered. If you buy primers and new unprimed brass, that it's reloading what you're doing, but it's actually home manufacturing, technically.
Because it's never been loaded before. If you can't reload something that's never been loaded previously. Well, but that's kind of a rabbit trail for the moment. Okay, let's say I'm a precision marksman, and I want to have the best performance possible from my marksmanship, shooting at 100 yards plus, out to maybe 1,000 yards. And let's say my favorite ammunition is Federal gold medal in 308, 168 grain jacketed hollow point. I will get a case of that ammunition and make sure that it is an unbroken case, so it's one lot. And I will dedicate that lot to a specific rifle, and keep track of every round fired with the date of the round was fired. Typically it would be anywhere from maybe 6 or 10 to maybe 20 rounds in one short training session. The date the ammunition was fired, the temperature, the humidity, the distance, the wind, everything is carefully recorded and made sure that there's a permanent record in a logbook. This is the way it's done, as opposed to haphazardly buying 20 rounds here, 40 rounds here, 100 rounds someplace else, all coming from different lots at different times. Even at the highest levels of manufacturing, you're going to have different shifts of different people working this machinery, different calibrations on the machinery, different temperatures and humidity possibly from maybe January to August in the manufacturing facility. So you're going to get the most consistency if you get a fresh, unopened case that was all manufactured in one shift, being one lot, and use that and keep it intact for a specific rifle. Your response, Jimmy?
Absolutely perfect, John. I recommend that when anybody does buy ammunition, like you said, to buy it in case lots. And typically, you'll save anywhere from 3 to 7% on the cost of the ammunition, and it always ensures, like you said, consistency. That is the key word in ammunition. Now, something I discovered on that not too long ago, much to my surprise, when we first started building the ARC, the AR uppers that are chambered in 7.62 by 39, ARC is a combination of AR and AK. And when we started building those, of course, every rifle that I build, I always do the break-in on the barrel so I know the performance that it's doing. And I get ballistics off of that, and I am able to put together a primary, what is known as a primary data card. It will change once the barrel gets over 100, 150 rounds. But I found out that the Russian Thule ammo and Brown Bear ammo have a much tighter standard deviation and than our American ammo. Now, standard deviation, ladies and gentlemen, when you're chronographing ammunition, you will fire 10-round groups or 5-round groups, and the deviation is the difference between the highest velocity and the lowest velocity. And typically, to build what we call a footprint, you'll fire 5 10-round groups or 5 5-round groups, letting the rifle rest between them, and then take those, get your average velocity, get your standard deviation velocity, and then compare them. And John, you're going to have to swallow hard on this one. I found out that Thule ammo averages 8 feet per second standard deviation.
Okay.
That is.
I do find that a bit surprising, but if that's the way it is, that's the way it is. But I in addition to what you're saying, was very much of that or all of it steel-cased ammunition?
Every bit of it was steel-cased ammunition.
Okay. My gunsmith, who specializes in U.S. military rifles, M1 carbines, M1 Garands, AR-15s, M14s, he says that you should not shoot steel-cased ammunition through semi-automatics that weren't specifically designed to shoot steel-cased ammunition through them in semi-automatics. There's no problem with bolt actions. But he says there's going to be issues with extractors and other issues on rifles not meant to shoot steel-cased, semi-automatic rifles not specifically designed to shoot steel-cased ammunition.
Exactly.
Your thoughts on that, please? Okay.
That's one reason why when we build the ARC, the gas system on the AR platform, there are 4 different gas systems that you can get in a rifle. One is the pistol, which is a 7.5-inch gas system. The only place that we use that in the rifle platforms is in the 300 blackout because of subsonic ammunition. If you've got a 300 blackout and it doesn't have a pistol gas system and shoot subsonic ammunition, then you're going to manually extract and charge every time because there's not enough gas pressure to operate the bolt. Then the next one up is the carbine, and then mid-length, and then rifle length. And a lot of the, about 90% of the ARs that are bought out there nowadays are a carbine length gas system, which is 9.5 inches. All of the ARCs that we build are on the mid-length gas system. Now, what that does, ladies and gentlemen, is it gives a delay in the cycle rate of the bolt. We call it lock time. And the the longer the gas system on it, the slower the lock time. The reason for that, on the steel-cased ammunition, if you're running a carbine-length gas system, the bolt is starting to open as soon as the bullet passes that gas port, and that steel case is still fully expanded because it's hot, and it drags that case out. And you'll find it, the first indication that you've got a problem like that is you'll see scratch marks on the neck of the case, and you'll get barrel throat wear in the barrel, which eventually will affect accuracy. With the mid-length gas system on it, it allows that case to cool down and shrink just slightly. Now, mind you, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking milliseconds here,
right,
that this is taking place. But with the mid-length gas system on it, the extraction process is much smoother and there's less barrel wear, or chamber wear, I should say. Now, another point, if you're shooting steel-cased ammunition, even in a bolt gun, whenever you're done with that string of shooting, ensure the fact that you've got the bolt open and there is not a round in the chamber. This is where people run into problems, John. What everyone calls varnish on the steel-cased ammunition is not really varnish. It is a lubricant, and also primarily it's an anti-corrosive coating, almost very similar to cosmoline. And if you've done a string of shooting, and say it's in your AR platform, or even in your AK. Now, AKs are not as susceptible to it because they have a much sloppier, for lack of a better term, chamber.
Hold that thought, Jimmy. Hold that thought. We got a break. The call number is 800-313-9443. Gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. As most of you know, my regular listeners, I offer energy cleaners for sale at my website. If you don't have a clue what I'm talking about, go to my website, thelibertyman.com, educate yourself about these marvelous healing devices. We focus on pain mitigation and getting a great night's sleep. Arthritis pain, joint pain, back pain, doesn't matter. Keep in mind, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. Energy cleaners, $285, shipping included to American zip codes. You can educate yourself all about the energy cleaner right there at my website, the patent application, the wonderful testimonials. Be sure and check out the factory-made fitted mattress pads that go with the energy cleaner. Now, I offer from me to you personally a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's what I do. I have a toll-free order line, or you can order it right at my website at thelibertyman.com. The toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at The Liberty Man. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 27th of November. My Black Friday Cyber Monday sale continues until midnight tonight on energy cleaners. $25 off energy cleaners and 10% off mattress pads. When you place your order, you pay full price, and I refund the difference. It's an automated system, and that's how it works. If you want to participate by mailing a check, make sure it's postmarked today. $25 off energy cleaners, 10% off mattress pads. Visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters at deserteagleshooters.com, taking your questions, calls, and comments at 800-313-9443. Let's continue, Jimmy.
And I remember to take the mute off this time, just in the last moment. What we were talking about there was the steel-cased ammo. And we left off with, I was making a comment that when you're done with a string of shooting, that you make sure that the bolt is open and a round is not in the chamber. The reason I'm bringing that up is the barrel's going to be hot, the chamber's going to be hot, and everything else, and what it will do is it will soften that coating that is on the steel-cased ammo. Now, in the AKs, the SKSs, things like that, doesn't bother them because, like I said, they've got more or less what we call a sloppy chamber. And in the new rifles, the American-built AKs, there's a new one, by the way, that one of our locals is actually starting to manufacture. But the chambers on those are the SAMI specs, which are U.S. standards. And they're slightly tighter chamber. And if you leave that round in there, it'll cook, soften that varnish, and it will adhere to the walls of the chamber. Now, if you're going right on shooting not too long after that, it's not going to be too much of a big deal. But if you let it set for an hour and a half, 2 hours, or whatever, you're doing something else or working on another gun or whatever, that can actually gum up that chamber a bit. And it may take 5 or 10 rounds to clear the residue off of the chamber. And in that process, you're going to find that the rifle is going to be shooting slower, extracting slower, everything else. I have known of one case that an individual left one of them in there, put the gun on safety, and put it away as his ranch gun, so that all he would have to do is flip the safety off and be ready to go. But he decided to clean it, dropped the mag, went to open the bolt on it, and it was quite an ordeal because it had stuck to the chamber. So that's just something to think about, ladies and gentlemen, with the steel-cased ammo. And like John said, using the steel-cased ammo in some of the other modern firearms and everything, M14s, M1s, check real close to find out what your gunsmith recommends, not your store dealer, but your gunsmith. And always, after you're done shooting them and everything, use a real good chamber brush and solvent to clean that chamber. That is a separate brush than your normal cleaning brushes, ladies and gentlemen. So, but steel-cased ammo, there's, in most cases, it's really good ammo, John. It surprised me when we were running the break-ins on these and chronographing to find out that they were at such tight tolerances in the manufacturer. Another point I need to bring up real quick. I've got several of our listeners out there that have contacted me on OOPS kits, and one in the emails have been bouncing. I've been trying to answer, and so if you would, drop me an email at jimi@hdc-nm.com. The Connect is disabled right now on the web page because some kind of spam virus or something got us. We were getting 75 to 80 blank emails than the darn thing a day. But those that have contacted us on Oops Kits, drop me another note. We've got problems with that. And then one of our listeners, Paul Williams, emailed me a while back from the web link and talking about the body armor. And the very first message I've ever sent him and everything else continues to bounce. So if he would contact us, drop us an email or call us, and because I tried sending you the information and it's bounced.
Oh, okay. So, we got that message out. That's great.
Internet.
I know. We have a break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our energy cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the energy cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the energy cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, 27th of November. Years quickly getting away from us, isn't it? My website is thelibertyman.com. As I mentioned, we now have another image posted of North America with new coastlines. It's from a documentary about Scientology, and it's posted at my website at thelibertyman.com. We have our Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale on energy cleaners continuing until midnight tonight. So you've got a few hours, the rest of the day today, to take advantage of this. Energy cleaners, $25 off. Mattress pads, 10% off. So go to my website, make your choice of the whatever energy cleaners you want and mattress pads. You place your order, you pay full price when you place your order. I manually refund the difference. It's an automated system that I can't change for just a couple of days sale. If you use my toll-free order line, same thing applies. When you place your order, use my toll-free order line. You'll pay full price, and I refund the difference. I've already refunded all the purchases made since last Thursday on this Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale. My toll-free order line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. So check it out. Take advantage of it. You've got until the end of the day today at midnight to do so. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's deserteagleshooters.com. And this is Firearms Monday. We talk about anything and everything to do with firearms, rifle, shotguns, pistols, ammunition, optics, the gun culture, gun laws, and so forth. Let's continue, Jimmy.
All right. During the break there, John, I was checking my email and saw a headline that kind of caught my attention there. It's rifle and caliber selection. And it's talking about choosing for long-range shooting and, target practice and stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, you've heard John and me, or I guess it'd be John and I, several times speak about articles and things, be cautious because of what people say. And of course, in reading through this, John, and pretty basic information until it got to caliber selection. And what do you think of this comment, John? The most common caliber for hunting is a 300 Win Mag.
Is this Alaska?
I don't
he's talking
know.
about?
He's talking about in general.
In general, in North America,
common hunting caliber is 30 caliber, 30-30, 308, 30-06. So be careful when you're reading articles and things like that, ladies and gentlemen, especially this time of year if you're looking for getting someone a gift. Point on that, John, I got a note here. I wanted to bring this up. We were discussing it this weekend. With the world of political correctness that we've got out there right now, and not all individuals that work at gun shows or gun stores or anything else are, true gun culture people. It's just a job to them.
Right.
If you are buying your son or daughter their first 22, or you're buying your husband or wife their first handgun or rifle or whatever, whenever you go into the gun store and are filling out the forms and everything, do not tell the salesperson that this is a gift for someone, because the reason I bring this up is a couple of weeks back, and I just heard about this weekend, a gentleman was in Walmart up in Roswell, and he was buying a 22 for his son, and he mentioned that to the salesperson, and the salesperson completed everything out and everything else, and as the guy was leaving, the police met him and questioned him about doing a straw purchase.
Right.
And that is an area, ladies and gentlemen, that is an affliction in the gun law. If you actually look at what the straw purchase is buying a rifle, handgun, or other firearm for an individual otherwise prevented from purchasing due to a criminal history or not being a resident, something in that neighborhood. So just be careful. I mean, he got out of it and everything. The cops kind of went and had a little discussion with the salesperson.
Yeah, that's what needed to happen. And at Walmart, and I know that the local Walmart, there's one gentleman who's at the sales counter for firearms and ammunition who is part of the gun culture and fairly knowledgeable, and others who are just standing there because they got assigned to stand there and don't have a clue about rifles, shotguns, or pistols. So it's a mixed bag at many of these retail establishments, isn't it?
Yep, it really is. And just, you don't know what's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It could be like this, and everything's fine. They laugh, and, he said that the cops were actually like, oh, that's a great one. I didn't know they had that back in stock. My kid would enjoy it, whatever. But in some of these, we're out west, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this is the home of the gun culture, truthfully, the Wild West, as some people like to put it. Back east or Midwest or other places may not be so lucky. So if you are going in to buy a Christmas present or birthday present or something for someone, just purchase it yourself. It's perfectly legal. You're buying it for yourself, and then if you are gifting it to someone, it's a personal exchange. So just a heads up. I mean, that really kind of rattled me, John, thinking about that.
I've heard, Jimmy, that
at our bank, Teresa was depositing some checks and everything, and this girl started questioning Teresa if she knew this person and everything. Well, Teresa didn't know him, but I know the person very well. And somehow this deposit got put on a 7-business day hold till the checks cleared. which really messed up our order system and everything, and we're still arguing with them on it. But again, that's a teller that took it upon herself to quote-unquote protect the public.
Protect the bank. Protect the bank.
Yeah. But, ladies and gentlemen, just be careful out there this time of year. Be very careful with your credit cards. John and I know an old trick. Don't carry your wallet in the back. Carry it in the front pocket. And just be careful out there. You start to say something, John, and I asked
yeah, it was kind of a humorous side note that occasionally people traveling by on road trips through Arizona and New Mexico will call the local law enforcement to find out if it's safe to travel through a certain area because of their concern about being attacked by Indians.
Yeah, and I'll give you another one. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, is 100% factual. I heard it, in fact, it was on the news, and it made all the newspapers and everything here. When they had the Olympics, I think it was, what was the last ones they had in the States here? Georgia or something?
I don't keep track
anyway,
of that.
This person from Roswell called the Olympic ticket thing and was getting tickets for some of the events and whatever. And the person on the other end of the line asked them where they were coming from, and they said New Mexico. And the woman or person on the other end of the line informed them that they needed to get a passport and go through customs and everything going from New Mexico to wherever the Olympics were. And the person here never really fully convinced the person that New Mexico is not part of Mexico and it's not a foreign country.
I understand. That kind of thing does happen. Well, another gun-related side note, which is kind of humorous, and it is firearms-related. There was an Indian chief that I've met, American Indian chief I met, who was living in Texas, I believe, not far walking distance from Amtrak railroad line. And he knew the schedule, and he's a dark-skinned American Indian, and with long dark hair. And occasionally when he had the time and felt like doing it, he would wear his Union Army jacket with the brass buttons, the dark blue 19th century Union Army cavalry jacket with the brass buttons, the buckskin leggings, have a headband around his head, and stand not far from the railroad as it went past with a lever-action 30-30 cradled in his arms. Just stand there in a quiet posture, and look like the thoughtful American Indian watching the white man go by in the train, which caused a lot of
ruckus.
People certainly got their attention. Let's put it that way. When he did that, and he had great fun with it.
I can imagine. When I first went into the military, they were surprised that people out west had flush toilets and running water. So, such is life in the fast lane. Lever guns, I'm glad you brought that up. Ladies and gentlemen, with the holiday season and everything, unless, of course, the person that you're buying for specifically wants a tactical or other type rifle like that, don't forget the lever guns. They make great gifts. They're classic. They never go out of style. I would hazard to guess everybody I know in their armory has at least one lever gun, most several, myself included. But it's one of the old standbys as far as training goes. For young people, it's excellent because it gives them a separate safety factor as well as manipulation that they have to do with the hand, that they have an exposed hammer. And meaning that they can pull the hammer back, pull the trigger, and lay the hammer down without firing around and have the gun ready to go at any time. And all of the modern firearms that are out there in the lever gun are using what is called a transfer bar between the hammer and the firing pin. And what that transfer bar does, ladies and gentlemen, is it makes it practically, operative word, practically impossible to strike the hammer when it's down, i.e. dropping the gun or something like that, and it going off. Nothing is foolproof, but that's about as close to foolproof as you can get. And that's the same way with a lot of the modern revolvers that you buy. They use a transfer bar system that makes them safer.
Right, which is why you can now safely carry a single action arming and similar revolvers fully loaded, as opposed to having one cylinder empty for safety reasons. You no longer need to do that.
The old standard was in a six shot revolver, load only 5 and make sure that the hammer was resting on a dead chamber. Another interesting point about that, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking at buying a first gun for a young lady and teaching her firearm safety and also self-protection, John and I are pretty both of the same school. Don't buy them a semi-auto. Buy them a revolver. 2-inch, 3-inch, maybe even a 4-inch barrel 38 special. Excellent handgun, good stopping power, great safety weapon. Cops carried them for eons, and they're basically fail-safe. You don't have to worry about malfunctions in the slide or this or that, or not having the mag all the way in. Myriad of other things that newcomers to handguns have that happen on a regular basis. And just time of year, ladies and gentlemen, think ahead. And I did a little poll over the weekend, John. I asked several of my friends by email and by text message that what would they recommend for a first semi-auto for a young lady. And a friend of mine's wife has got a 38 that she carries all the time, and he's thinking on getting her a semi-auto. And I was amazed that the Smith & Wesson Shield came up about 75% of the time. What surprised me on that, ladies and gentlemen, is very few mentioned Glock. Your thoughts on that, John? On a first semi-auto?
Well, first of all, I agree absolutely that beginners, whether they're men or women, should begin with revolvers. The point I make to my students when I'm teaching concealed carry training is that we have busy lives. People have careers, families, social obligations, church obligations, hobbies, and I let them know that if they're prepared to take the time to go to the range, and what I'll do is I'll take one of my semi-autos and I'll hold it behind my back, and I completely disassemble it, putting the pieces on the table in front of me from behind my back. I tell my students, until you can do this with your chosen semi-automatic pistol, you're not ready to defend your life with it. You have to be that aware of all the controls, where they are, how they operate. And I further emphasize that when you hear your kitchen door being broken at 2 a.m., you're not quite awake. You might have, and you're grabbing this pistol. You need to know in the dark, when you're half awake, how to properly operate it. With a revolver, it's simply point and pull the trigger. With a semi-auto, you have to know a lot of things. is around the chamber, is safety on, safety off, magazine in the pistol, and so forth, none of which apply to a revolver. Here's our break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Monday, the 27th of November, visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters, at deserteagleshooters.com. Jimmy, continuing where we left off there, I actively discourage most people from getting semi-automatics most of the time because I really make a sincere effort to let them know that there's a lot of extra time, range time involved in becoming what I consider to be competent with a semi-auto compared to a revolver, and knowing that most people aren't going to want to take the time, especially if they just can't walk out the backyard like I can, to pack up equipment, go to a range at some distance, pay money to be at the range, and then pack up everything and return home. Most people aren't going to want to dedicate the time and money necessary to become fully competent with a semi-auto compared to a reduced training time, in my opinion, to become competent with a revolver. So I do actively discourage that, and then I go further to let them know that, yes, in fact, if you're willing to devote the time and money to become competent with a semi-automatic pistol, then by all means go for it and have a great time. With that original caveat in mind. So that's my stand on semi-autos. As far as recommendations, there's another aspect of this, Jimmy, and it has to do with females. I would, as a fairly sizable percentage of women that don't have the strength in their hands and arms to cycle semi-automatic pistols, as far as centerfire as opposed to 22s. And I've watched these women, and I've been doing this now for many years, I've been an RA instructor for more than 20 years. They absolutely struggle to rack the slide on semi-automatic heavy caliber pistols, 9mm, 45, and so forth. And that's another issue in and of itself for women, is simply not having the hand and arm strength to operate the mechanism. Your response?
Joe, you're very true on that. That's one reason why that when people ask me like that and everything, I'll tell them, take your wife to the gun shop or the gun show or whatever, and if she likes how one feels, ask her, show her first if she's not familiar, but have her rack the slide 5 or 6 times right there in front of you. And it's amazing, just like you said, they may make it once, sometimes twice, but when it goes 3, 4, 5 times, it gets rather difficult. And something I have found out that I never really thought about until I experienced it was with my 1911s and the Taurus and items like that have the exposed hammer, in racking them, I find it more difficult, and another reason why I don't really like them, I find it more difficult to rack a Glock than I do, or I should say striker-fired handgun. I find it more difficult myself to rack a striker-fired handgun compared to conventional semi-autos. Have you noticed anything about that, John, or have you ever...
I hadn't really thought about it till just now, but I don't doubt it for a moment. Here's our break. We'll be back after the break. Stay tuned. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. J.R. Moore here, our second hour on Monday, the 27th of November. My prepper tip of the day is actually an alert. The text of the alert is published at my website. At the top, you'll see a red and black banner for the alert today, Monday, November 27th, has to do with electromagnetic pulse. And my conclusion, based on the evidence, that the Obama administration, by design and intent, was stopping the national power grid from being protected in order that we could be successfully attacked by Russia and China and their allies. The complete text is there at my website under when you click on the black and red banner, it says alert, November 27th, 2017. Okay, we're visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of DesertEagleShooters.com. That's DesertEagleShooters.com. And we're talking about firearms, concealed carry training, and the pluses and minuses of semi-automatic pistols versus revolvers. I like both, Jimmy, and I'll, depending on the assignment that I'm going on, whether it's investigating a murder or a bodyguard assignment, and where I'm going and the threat, the perceived threat level, I'll make a decision as to which I will carry, and sometimes I'll carry both a revolver and a semi-auto if the assignment dictates that. But I've been, I'm a very accomplished shooter. I'm not a world-class competitor by any means, but I've been in combat and I've used handguns to protect life and property for more than half a century. And so I go into these decisions with a base of knowledge and experience and training that most people will never have. The average person has a busy life, limited resources in terms of time and money, and they need to be very judicious with how they spend their time and their money. And that's why I always encourage both men and women to use a revolver as opposed to a semi-auto, unless they're willing to dedicate the time and the money to become quite proficient. Your response, sir. Take your phone off mute there, Jimmy.
Sorry about that. I knew it was going to happen once today. I agree wholeheartedly because the malfunctions that can happen with a semi-auto, failure to feed, failure to extract, stovepipes, myriad of other things, most of them quite simple fixes at the time, but they're time-consuming. And, ladies and gentlemen, when I'm talking time-consuming in any of the shooting sports, maladies, whatever you want to call them, is seconds. No matter what the malfunction is, the steps to correcting it are to assess, look, clear, and then get back into the fight or get back into the event if it's a competition, timed competition. All of those take time. Now, if it's a life or death situation, i.e., as John said earlier, 2 o'clock in the morning, someone kicks in your back door and, is intent on robbing or harming someone in the house, any malfunction in the dark will multiply your time factor exponentially because you've got a fear factor, you're not awake, you can't see what you're doing, so the examine or evaluate the problem isn't there, and it just exacerbates itself. Now, something, and I'm trying to figure out how the guy did it, but one of our local Border Patrol agents, we were discussing some new drills that they're going through. They'll actually blindfold the agent, and they're on the firing range so that the agent is pointed downrange in a safe direction, and they will hand them their handgun and make sure that what they're doing is they're basically just shooting into the berm. But the purpose is that they have installed a malfunction into the gun so that 1, 2, 3 rounds will give it a malfunction. And I jokingly asked him, I says, well, how do you do a stovepipe? Now, a stovepipe, ladies and gentlemen, is it's a combination of failure to eject and can possibly be a broken component on the handgun, i.e. the ejector itself. But most times it's just a dirty handgun and slow timing. And he says, very simple, and I've never tried this, John, but I'm going to today. He says they will take a magazine and they'll put a couple of rounds in, then they will put a spent case in, and then a couple of more live rounds or whatever. He says the moment that the gun goes to pick up that spent case, since the weight isn't forward on it and everything, it's going to lock up the handgun.
Right.
And I thought about that, and I go, that is so dirt simple. And he goes, it works every time. He says they have to clear the weapon and get back into shooting, and they're timed on this. And he says it is amazing. The first time it will always confuse them because they'll slide their hand across the top like we're normally taught to clear a stovepipe, but they're not feeling anything there except that the chamber is open.
Right.
And he says it's amazing to see how much time it takes them to sit there and evaluate the problem when they can't see it.
Right.
So
right.
Think about things like that, ladies and gentlemen. John and I have often talked about thinking outside of the box in your training. And, i.e., we've got my old dead Ultima here, which we use for training on people on firing from inside of a car. And everybody carries a gun inside the car, but have you ever thought about what you're going to do if you do have a threat and how you're going to manipulate the gun? On the range, everything is clear all around you, nothing to bump into. The car, you've got other seats, center console, shifters, steering wheel, window controls, etc., etc., etc. So what I recommend to folks that don't have a test car that they can do this in, use a toy gun or an airsoft gun and sit in your car. Put the gun where you carry it normally, under the seat, in the glove box, in the center console, in a side holster on the seat, which is what I do. But put the gun where it belongs, and then someone describe to you a threat. Someone driver's side, passenger side, carjacking, whatever. And when they holler threat, start the stopwatch and see how long it takes you to come up with a solution. It'll amaze you. Most people will take anywhere from 30 to 45 seconds the very first time because of all of the stuff that's in front of them. And just another thought to play with. I've had some people suggest immediately put the seat back. Well, if you've got electric seats, that doesn't work. Different things like that. But ladies and gentlemen, think outside the box in your training. When you go to the range, put your pistol wherever it is that you carry it. Side holster, shoulder holster, appendix carry, in the back, whatever. Lay down on the ground like somebody just punched you and try to engage the target. Amazing if you carry a holster that's in the small of your back, that is a whole new situation to get that gun out. That's one reason why, John, I'm a fan of a cross draw. Right-handed, right. My holster's on the left side. And that's for two reasons, ladies and gentlemen. One, I've got long arms. And I'm a light build. I'm streamlined, as I like to put it. And a regular holster on my strong side is a lot of movement for me to get that gun out and get it to clear. A drop leg makes it easier, but a drop leg is not concealable, and it's, in my opinion, combat situation great, every day, and working around the farm and all that and everything, it's a hindrance. So that's another Christmas gift, ladies and gentlemen. Think about it. New holster rig. And leather is coming back in style, John, amazingly enough.
Right.
Nylon and Kydex is still very popular, and there are different retention methods with the new holsters. Now they've got up to level 3 retention, which means that the only one that can get it out is the person that owns it and is carrying it. 2 or 3 separate safety devices on getting the pistol out of the holster.
Right.
Good thing in a way. In my opinion, it's something else to get in the way and cause problems. Police officer, I can see that wholeheartedly. John Q. Public, the jury's still out. Thoughts on holsters, John?
Well, if you live in an area where it gets hot and you do have air conditioning most of the time in your vehicle and where you work and live and so forth, leather makes a lot of sense. But if you're going to spend a lot of time outdoors where it's hot, leather will absorb and retain the sweat and the smell from the sweat from your body, which would become an issue. So that's a concern. Body odor is not something most people want to be around most of the time. So if you can wear a leather holster and not have it absorb the sweat, I think you're good to go. Of course, it depends on the carry. Now I'm talking primarily a shoulder holster, which would be in your armpit and absorbing whatever moisture your body and sweat and the odor from the sweat your body puts off. But if that's not an issue for you, then leather is more comfortable. It feels better. It looks better. And I really prefer leather holsters compared to Kydex or nylon myself, although I use all three, Kydex, nylon, and leather. I prefer the leather.
Good points on that. Now, I'll give you a tip on your shoulder holster, John. And I was taught this by a friend of ours that's a boot maker. And he explains it to all of his customers and everything that are true ranchers and true cowboys, that with them, when it's roundup time, and they're getting, and yes, ladies and gentlemen, still happens. Right now we're in the middle of roundup time. They're bringing cattle in from the fields and the mountains and every place, and branding new babies and looking at ones that are going to go to market and everything else that farmers and ranchers do. And he explained to me, he said, one of the oldest tricks, and it was taught to him by the person that he apprenticed under, is Johnson's paste wax. And for the cowboys during roundup, rather than just boot polish or anything, they will work Johnson's paste wax into the welts and the seams and everything on it and just buff it off with a rag. Still looks good, but any cow poo or if the cow pees on them or anything like that happens, it just runs right off. And I've tried it on I've got one of the original Marine style shoulder rigs for the 1911, and the first thing I did when I got it in was I Johnson paste waxed it. And the important thing to remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you do use this, wax the inside as well as the outside. Make sure you do the straps, both inside and outside of the straps, and the components on it and everything. And that'll really help on cutting down on body odor and sweat impregnating it, John.
Well, that's good to know. That's very, very helpful. And I just made a note to make sure I got a good inventory of Johnson's paste wax here. I think I may have an old can around, but it wouldn't hurt to have a couple of fresh ones.
Oh, no.
That's good information.
And ladies and gentlemen, if you go to the store looking for it, the place I have found it most often, and even Walmart carries it, but it's in the aisle or the area where they have floor finishes and furniture polishes. Normally it's on either the very top shelf or the very bottom shelf. And good old yellow can, normally it's about, I think it's close to a pound of Johnson's paste wax, will last you a long time.
Oh, yes.
But get a couple cans of it and everything. Anything that you've got that's leather and you want to protect it from moisture or absorbing body odor or anything like that, good old Johnson's paste wax.
That's great. That's good to know. Well, a good quality leather holster will last for decades if you take care of it, won't it?
Oh, yes, sir. I had to turn the heater off right there that just kicked on. I've got several old holsters. Now, out here in New Mexico, West Texas, we have a very dry climate, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest threat to leather out here is drying out. And there are several really good leather conditioners out there. And if you do have an old leather holster that's showing signs of being dry or a little bit of cracking or anything, you can find a product, and if you can't, contact me. I've got a source here locally. I can get it and send it to you, but it's called Lexol, Lexol. And my source here is the feed store. They carry it there because people use it on conditioning saddles and harnesses and things like that. For dried out leather, if you will take and use this product like the instructions say and work it inside and out, it will put the moisture back into your leather and slow down any cracking or anything. It'll take a while to really truthfully get it back to where it's going to be safe.
All right. But, I keep a gallon jug of Lexol handy myself. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We'll be right back. J.R. Moore here. It's taken 3 years before I could offer the inter-shelter domes for sale. During those 3 years, several different governments and militaries were taking all their production. The inter-shelter dome homes may be just what you've been looking for to provide affordable, energy-efficient, permanent, and attractive housing. These dome homes are prefabricated units that can be assembled in a few hours by 2 men with a ladder and simple hand tools. Check out the photos of these dome homes built in the Arctic, on tropical beaches, in suburban areas, and in forests. All the details, many photographs, and the pricing of the dome homes are listed on the left-hand side of my homepage at thelibertyman.com. I think you'll find these homes are not only attractive, but they're energy efficient, and a bonus. You can disassemble them and reassemble them as many times as you feel you need to. Pretty great, huh? Something that's very, very unique. Check them out at my website at thelibertyman.com. Thank you. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 27th of November. Quick reminder, my Black Friday Cyber Monday sale on energy cleaners and mattress pads goes through midnight tonight, midnight Monday, the 27th. $25 off energy cleaners, 10% off mattress pads. Place your order. I refund the difference. Visiting with Jimmy Ginsling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's deserteagleshooters.com. And Jimmy, there's in addition to the Lexol and the Johnson's Paste Wax, there's a product recommended to me by the place where I get my cowboy boots. I typically get good quality ones, but they also sell cowboy boots that run $500 to $700 a pair. Not that I buy them, but this is, well, they're nice. They're exotic leathers, but this is what they recommend for the $700 cowboy boots for daily maintenance. It's BIC. It's Bravo India Charlie Kilo Bic 4 leather conditioner. It's a liquid. I've got a 16-ounce bottle here in my hand, made by a company called Bickmore. And it's real simple. You just put a little on a paper towel or a cloth, and on polished leather only. You don't put it on any suede type products. And it cleans and polishes the leather and helps treat the leather also. It's got good things in there for the leather. And I do that every 2 or 3 days with my cowboy boots and my boots. I wear my motorcycle boots and my leather dress shoes. It's a simple procedure. Only takes a couple of minutes for each boot, and it's a nice product.
Oh yeah, and that's, you know, ladies and gentlemen, like John and I've been talking about, leather is just incredible stuff for holsters and accessories. So don't negate looking at it. In fact, I bet if you've got a family member or spouse or something that is really hard to buy for, I bet they haven't thought of a leather holster or magazine pouches or anything in a long time.
Probably
so
not.
That might be a true surprise for them.
Probably not. Jimmy, I need to, we almost got a break here. Got a quick notice here for people that want high quality Danner boots. The Danner corporate website today has a Cyber Monday sale, 25% off with on everything, and as much as 60% off on some of the things they're closing out. So when you're talking about boots that run for $200 to $300 a piece, in my opinion, the best boots money can buy, I think it's something people need to look at and take advantage of because, well, in my opinion, based on my knowledge and experience, the best, highest quality outdoor boots money can buy are Danner. That's Danner. Go to their corporate website and take advantage of the Monday sale. Let's continue there, Jimmy.
Well, that's an excellent point too, John. Ladies and gentlemen, your feet. I don't care if you're out just shooting for fun, if you're shooting for competition, or if you're hunting, hiking someplace. I don't care what it is. Quality shoes or boots is something that you really need to look into, and once you find something like John with his Danner boots, you find something that fits, it really, you know, makes your feet feel good and wears well, buy a couple of 3 pair of them. And that way, if in the future EMP or social unrest or whatever could come up that would interrupt that, you have got a fallback on some nice shoes. Because if you don't take care of your feet, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be in sad shape, and everybody suffers. But another point too, John, I just got the news off on the side here and muted. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hearing Protection Act and the National Reciprocity are both hung up by one person, Paul Ryan. And, ladies and gentlemen, Congress is going to be going on Christmas vacation very soon, and they're talking about getting this budget tax reform thing passed before Christmas. 202-224-3121 or 202-225-2131. That's the number to Capitol Switchboard. Call your congressmen, your senators, tell them to stop what they're doing, stop hanging up everything, stop fighting with the president and get this stuff passed. Otherwise, they can always be replaced. And it's really getting stupid on this stuff, John. I mean, I just noticed this morning on the headlines that some Democrat, I don't know if he's senator or congressman, is suing the president for his temporary appointment to some post, consumer protection, I think it is. Ladies and gentlemen, tell them to knock this crap off.
They're just trying
to get mad.
They're trying to draw attention to themselves. That's all that is. We got a break. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here. We're continuing our Energy Cleaner promotion, which began August of 2016. In this promotion, you get to buy an Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and a mattress pad, 10% off retail. $200 of the purchase price of the Energy Cleaner goes to Republic Broadcasting. This is a great way to help get energy cleaners out to people who need them and have some financial issues to deal with. And, of course, a great way to support Republic Broadcasting. Here's what you do. Send in a postcard. My address is John Moore, P.O. Box 201, Davidsville, Missouri. We pick a postcard every 2 weeks. If your postcard is drawn, you get the chance to buy the Energy Cleaner, $70 off retail, and 10% off the mattress pads. Put your name and your address, your telephone number, and your email address on the postcard, and we wish you the best of luck. Thank you. All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Monday, the 27th of November. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. The alert we posted today, I believe you really need to read that. It has one typo on it which should be corrected before the end of the day. Read it and then make sure it's passed around to your friends and family. Also, at my website, Energy Cleaner for sale. We have the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sale going on till midnight tonight. If you want to take advantage of this, you have until midnight tonight to either place your order or get your check in the mail postmarked today. $25 off energy cleaners, 10% off mattress pads. When you place your order online or using my toll-free order line, you'll pay full price. I manually refund the sale price. It's an automated system. I can't change it for a couple of days. It would be impractical to do so. Mailing a check, just write out the correct dollar amount and get it in the mail postmarked before tonight, midnight. $25 off energy cleaners, 10% off mattress pads. Toll-free order line, here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Jimmy Gensling, the proprietor of Desert Eagle Shooters. That's DesertEagleShooters.com. Jimmy, we got a caller on hold here. We got Diane in Arizona. Good morning, Diane.
Good morning.
You're on the air. What's on your mind?
I have a question concerning the concealed carry. The concealed carry is obviously a very good program for background and learning, particularly for someone that doesn't have much experience. The question I have concerning that is that obviously once you become a concealed carry person, then you are, in effect, registered with the government. Do you have any comment on that?
Well, that's a lot of people in the Patriot community are concerned about the government knowing that they have a concealed carry permit. You're probably already on multiple lists, Diane, depending on what magazines you subscribe to, what activities you participate in, and it's a matter of personal choice and personal decision whether you want that status or not to be a concealed carry permit holder. If you've bought a firearm from a gun dealer, you're already on a list. If you've ever had a hunting license, a fishing license, you're already on a list. If you ever subscribed to a magazine, Outdoor Life, or any similar publication, you're already on a list. So it's a matter of personal decision and personal choice. Diane, you can take the training, of course, without getting the permit. That might be one option for you. That way you won't get it on another list. Does Arizona, Jimmy, do they have constitutional carry? Do they still require a permit? Do you know?
We have constitutional carry.
Okay. All right. Well, then you don't need a permit. But I would suggest going ahead and getting the training anyway, Diane. because it's good training.
Okay.
And one of the main things your instructor is going to focus on is the following: proper use of deadly force, when you may and when you may not use deadly force. And that's pretty critical to know that because, well, for obvious reasons. So I would suggest you go ahead and get the training. And then if you want to get the permit at a later date, you've got the training already accomplished, and go from there. How's that?
That sounds like excellent advice.
Okay. Anything else, Diane?
Just a comment. One of the instructors at the Appleseed Project had mentioned that he takes bolts and puts them in mineral oil, a few of them, and then he puts them in with his in his magazine. As I'm assuming that those will not fire, and that helps him to work out his response on problems with guns that are jammed.
Okay. He puts his ammunition for training purposes in mineral oil to kill the primers. Is that? I think that's what he's doing. Is that Jimmy?
That's my assumption. Yes, that he is.
That's
not always, just a few of them.
I'm not so sure I would do that. Jimmy, you got any thoughts on that? Jimmy, take your phone off mute.
Sorry about that. Twice today. What I thought I heard her say was putting cinnamon oil.
No, mineral oil. Mineral
oil, okay. No, lubricating ammunition is not a good idea, ladies and gentlemen, for two reasons. One,
I think he's doing it to kill the primers, so he can use it for training purposes.
Right.
I've never heard of that.
I never heard of that, and I think there's probably a 50-50 chance of it working, depending on how long it was soaked in the mineral oil. That's a technique I've never heard of, and usually pistols are going to jam whether you are doing it with intent or not. So it's I would not suggest doing that because for a number of reasons. You might forget which ammunition has been dipped in mineral oil and which have not. The odds of killing primers, I think, is optimistic. If he's going to that extent, I would just load up some dummy ammo, which has no primers, and do that, or use snap caps. Might be another thing to do.
Or just use spent ammo and don't knock the primer out of it. That would be another way.
Right.
I wouldn't trust that in any manner. I see a potential there of disaster and injury.
Yeah, and plus you're going
to
you got the inside of your magazine is going to be all gummed up with mineral oil, which is going to attract dust and dirt and hold it. You're getting mineral oil inside your firearm, which I wouldn't want mineral oil inside any of my firearms. I can't see any upside to this. It's all downside as far as I'm concerned. Jimmy, how about you?
Yes, I agree. Anybody that has been told to do that, disregard, because 99.995% of all manufactured ammo, they use some form of sealant on the primer when it's installed, and that is to prevent it from being fouled if you take a swim with it or your ammunition becomes flooded on the floorboard of your truck or whatever going through a creek. They do that to prevent it from allowing moisture to get in there. So any attempt to nullify the primers with that method, I would be very suspicious of.
I would also. Okay.
Well, thank you. That's good to know.
Okay, Diane, we appreciate your call. I got a note from my engineer saying that somebody did testing of 5 different oils and soaking them, and the primers functioned after every one. So don't do that.
Yeah, like I said, I see a potential for disaster. If you want to make your own snap caps, ladies and gentlemen, it's really simple. Just save your spent rounds, and you can go down range to the berm and take you a screen and screen out some of the bullets that are in there. You're going to find a lot of full metal jacket, 44, 45, 40 Smith & Wesson, 38, that are barely even deformed. And you can pick up a couple of the spent rounds like that and some, select a few good bullets and press them down into it, and you can use a starting punch that, or a nail set punch even can work, and put just a couple of dimples around it so that the bullet won't come out, and wham bam, you've got dummy rounds.
Right.
Not rocket science.
Or you can do point, click, click, and get all the dummy rounds you want from Brownells.
Exactly. They're called snap caps, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Exactly. Well, it comes down to whether you have more time or if you have more money, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And, but the one point, ladies and gentlemen, is training. She was talking about, being on a list or whatever. Like John said, when you're born, you're on a list. Where it goes from there just depends on your life. If you're in the military or have been in the military, forget it. You're on the big list.
Right.
So the point being, ladies and gentlemen, don't worry about lists. They're there. Nothing we could do about them if we wanted to. Focus on training. And this time of year, wintertime, like I tell everyone, don't let weather dictate your practice and your training. Because if that EMP happens and the grid goes down and you're hunting for food, you're not going to wait for a perfect day to feed the family. Otherwise, if you try that too long, they might be eating you. And cannibalism is not a good thing. So get used to going out and shooting and practice in cold weather, in hot weather, in snow, in sleet, in rain, because the more you do it now, later on, if you have to, it's going to be no big thing. And
that's right.
Wintertime like it is right now. Hey, another great Christmas gift, John, and it falls into the old classic. If you don't know what to buy anybody, buy them merino wool socks. Those are year-round stuff. And get a nice stockpile of those for them for a Christmas present. But
absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, it all comes down to one thing. And like John said, what do you want to do? Do you want to become proficient? Do you want to be able to protect your family if the need arises? Do you want to be able to put food on the table if the need arises? The only way to ensure that, or better your odds, I'll put it that way, is to practice. And with handguns, once you're doing real well at 7, 10, and 20 feet, go to 25 yards, practice there. Then once you're doing pretty good on that, go out to 50 yards. And what you're doing is you're finding your limitation. You will discover at some point in time with that handgun, beyond this point, your hits count goes down dramatically. But it can also be a great confidence builder. If you're shooting at 50 yards and you're putting 7 out of 10 rounds in the target, not in the bullseye, but in the target, that's good. That is excellent. If you can stretch that to 75 yards and 60% of your rounds are in the target, you're doing good. What you're proving to yourself on that is the main survivability factor in any gunfight is the best gunfight is the one you don't have to get into, where you never have to pull the trigger. The second best gunfight is when you can stop your assailant or the threat at a greater distance. Distance is our friend. And that's one of the training procedure that we go through, John, is we will have the silhouette target up, and the shooter is walking towards the silhouette target, just like you're passing someone on the street, and at some point when they get fairly close, we'll yell threat, and we teach to bring up your offhand, that way that you can push the assailant away, and pull your weapon at the same time and engage the target while you're backing up. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when you start practicing that, or if you do practice that, make sure that you're on a surface that doesn't have any obstruction. No rock, no trip hazards, or anything. Because backing up and focusing on the target, you're not focusing on your feet. You're making distance. So that is another training aspect. If you're practicing with your handgun and you can hit the target 10 out of 10 times at 25 yards, 8 out of 10 times at 50 yards, and let's say your assailant is in a car, shoots at you or drive-bys or whatever, stops the car and gets out to engage again just out of meanness, and they're 50, 75 yards away, you've got a better than average chance of hitting them. But adding to that now, just to make it a little bit more difficult, you're running through this training procedure and everything. Once you've got it down fairly well and you're doing fairly good, put the gun in its holster, jog, run all the way down to your target, tag the target, run all the way back, and as soon as you get back, turn around and engage the target. That's going to bring your heart rate up. You're going to be shaky. Everything that you're doing is going to simulate what your body is going to feel like in an actual threat situation. And you'll be amazed at how your shooting ability falls apart. So,
absolutely.
I've seen guys that can, John, they can cut a quarter-size hole out of the target at 25 feet or 30 feet, and you go through the exercise that I just talked about, and they can shoot, let's say, out of a possible 10 score, they can shoot an 8 consistently at 25 yards. I'll have them run down and tag the 25-yard target, come back and engage the target, and it's amazing, they might hit it actually once. Because everything gets thrown off, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right.
And you need to incorporate that into your training. Make that your last drill of the day. That you run down, tag your target, come back, turn and engage the target, and then think about what went wrong and how to correct it. Because
we got a caller here, Jimmy. A break coming up. Rick in Missouri. Good morning, Rick. Oh,
morning,
Rick, hold
Rick.
on. We got our last break. We'll be right back. Rick, what's your question or comment, please? Good morning.
Well, I'll just be real brief because this is really a caveat to hunting for protein. I just want to say, a lot of here in Missouri anyway, a lot of the animals that are the most prolific are nocturnal and almost impossible to lay your hands on unless you are trapping. And I would leg hold traps are fine, but man, they are hard to learn to use. Coney bear traps and killer traps are much easier to use, but they are quite permanent. When they catch something, it'll almost always be dead when you get it back. But if you learn how to use them properly and you get them up in trees where you're not necessarily going to kill your beagle or the neighbor's beagle, if you look at some YouTubes on how to use coney bears, or some people call them conibears, but you can get the little one, which is called a 110. It's got a spring on one side. You can get a little conibear for about $5 or $6. You know, and in my opinion, everybody really should have a couple dozen of those around, and then they go up in size from there all the way up to the big beaver traps called 330s. But, you know, to facilitate or to augment your hunting, your protein gathering, you know, you might want to look into the traps, because they don't even take Christmas off. I mean, they're out there. They never complain about the cold or the heat, anything. Very effective stuff. I would recommend anybody learn how to use those. And Jimmy, I like that 25-yard exercise. It's amazing how sloppy you get when you go from like 10 or 15 yards out to 25. You're triggered, then you realize how sloppy you were with your trigger. It's interesting stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Okay. I'll let you guys get back. All right,
okay,
thanks.
thank
All
you,
right,
Rick.
thanks, Dave.
2 minutes left here, Jimmy. About 2 minutes left.
The bringing up the trapping and everything, ladies and gentlemen, I'm an old trapper. That's growing up in West Texas and everything. That was really my first adding to income when I was in school, was running a trap line for coyotes and bobcats and badgers. Get up at 4 in the morning and run a trap line before I went to school.
Yep, I had classmates in high school who did that exact same thing. They ran a trap line before they came to school in the morning.
Yep, and then on the way home, make another check on them and head for home. Trapping is a very viable option, ladies and gentlemen, and there are several good books out there on it. If you want a recommendation, I'll go through and I'll get some lists up of mine and get them over to Tim. I think Tim has got all of the catalogs fixed now on the web page, and so all the, you know, you want to go look and see what we carry, ladies and gentlemen. I think everything is up and working now, and the contact is down. So if you need to get a hold of me, email address is going to be jimi@hdc-nm.com, or you can always give me a call or text me at 575-513-2842. This time of year, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting colder. It's if there was a government plan grid down, John, I would suspect it more in the winter than I would the summer.
I agree absolutely. Jimmy, thank you for your time. We look forward to having you back next Monday.
We'll be here. Have a great one, folks.
Okay, that's it for the day. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaner, your essential oils now while you can. Don't forget the sale on the energy cleaners. It goes through midnight tonight. Never give up your firearms or ammunition. And God bless America.